Ask 100 people if they'd like to have $1 million in their bank account, and almost every hand's going to go up. There might be the one contrarian that's like, well, that's not right, whatever it is, but most are going to say yes. Ask them if they'll do what's required, and some are going to say yes, and some are going to say, well, that depends. And I've heard this over and over again. Then they say something about, well, it depends if it's legal. They're already setting themselves up for a defensive position on why they can't or won't do it. It is fascinating. No, I want you to do something really illegal. It's like, okay. Tell them they have to show up on Monday to start learning how to do the work. And, maybe half will show up. And then require them to take action. And then maybe about 10 or 20% will. Continue with the process. Maybe 3% will. And that's why there are so few people who are financially free. It's not the fact that they can't do it. It's the fact that they don't or won't do it.
Hi, I'm Annette Bau, host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast and founder of the Millionaire Insider. My mission is to help you simplify the money game so you can create a financially secure and fulfilled life without having to have a PhD or spend countless hours on your finances. You're going to learn how to think like a millionaire, stop worrying about money and wondering if your financial house is truly in order, and instead spend your time doing what you love. With over 3 decades advising 7, 8, and even 9-figure millionaires, and now joining that elite group, I'm in a unique position to help you make the best financial choices so you can create a secure financial future and retirement you love. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast.
Oh, welcome to How Do You Manifest? So today we're going to talk about manifestation, one of my favorite topics. And you may be curious about it, how it works, or more importantly, how it can help you reach your goals, making more money, accumulating more wealth, weighing your ideal weight, or all the above. Manifesting is simply wanting something that not yet is reality in your world and making it reality. It puts you into the driver's seat of your life, and it allows you to attract what you desire. The popularity of manifestation really came forefront with the law of attraction, and the concept of manifestation and the power of positive energy has increased tenfold since The Secret, Rhonda Byrne's movie, came forefront. You left that movie, many people did, believing that you could just manifest your dreams, find your soulmate, create the wealth you wanted, really achieve whatever you wanted. And many people believe they could just think it and it would become reality. Now, I'm not saying you can't think something and it becomes reality. I'm sure there are people that have probably done it. I don't know a lot of them. And I think a lot of people think, let's just sit and own it into existence. And I am all about chants and yoga and meditation. I find that when you combine the woo and the work, it's a lot easier to manifest what you want. So today we're going to dive into both categories. In the 3 decades of advising and researching some of the wealthiest people in the world, I have not ever witnessed any person achieving their goals with just manifesting, meaning just meditating, yoga, affirmations, chants. I'm not saying they aren't out there, but I find that when you combine the inner work, kind of the more spiritual woo-woo work, with the outer game of actually taking action and doing something about it, that's the magical formula. Before you completely shut off the idea of manifesting, I want you to consider what I refer to as practical manifestation. The practical manifestation method I teach is about thinking about what you want, which is unmanifest, and bringing it into fruition so that you have it, which is the manifest. My father was a perfect example of this. Now, my father would have said manifestation is crazy, and yet he did it without even knowing it. What he would say is, I can remember it from the time I was really little until I was older. And he would state before leaving, I'm going to catch 12 fish. I mean, that's exactly what he would say. And he would always return home later with 12 fish. It was not even a question. He knew it was going to happen. And that's where I want you to get. With what we're going to dive into today, it's going to make it easy. I encourage you to go take your free financial checkup. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/FC. If you need help on the best next step to secure your financial future and create a retirement you love, take this checkup. Go to themillionaireinsider.com/FC. Today's free checklist is our retirement planning checklist. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/RPC. One of the biggest concerns I have is the impact the economic cuts and things that are happening could impact your future. And while I want you to learn how to manifest, I also want you to be pragmatic and proactive and take the steps you need to. And this checklist is going to give you a gauge of, are you on track to what you need to do from a financial perspective? Do you need to make changes? All of those things are so imperative. Again, you can go and access it at themillionaireinsider.com/RPC. There's nothing fun about running out of money or not having enough money. You're just going to have to trust me on that one. And if you think there is, just go down to a poor area in your community and go see how some of those people are living. And I guarantee you, some of those people were not broke or poor when they're married or working. This checklist is going to be kind of a preemptive strike for you to go and make sure you're on track so that you're not having to worry about money when you retire. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/RPC. For today's show notes, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/90. All materials and intellectual property are copywritten by themillionaireseries.com. The information is for educational purposes only, is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide any investment, financial, tax, retirement, planning, or healthcare advice. So how do you manifest what you want? Such a $1,000,000 question. So the first thing you got to do is you got to create your baseline to manifest. And this is comprised of a few different steps. The first one is you've got to decide with crystal clear clarity, what do you want? It's impossible to achieve a goal if you don't know what it is. And what's fascinating, I always say to somebody, well, what do you want? Well, that's a really good question. And then they start telling me what they don't want. We've got to focus in on what we do want. So you got to, first of all, determine that. The goal is to see the exact thing you want, whether it's money, whether it's relationships, whether it's weight, or all of the above. Once you are so clear, you can describe it to anyone and they get it, you know you are on track, but you've got to be crystal clear on this. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to manifest more money. How much money? What's the exact amount of money you want to earn? What is your net worth goal? When do you want to earn it and why? Now, these things are really important because sometimes you start realizing when you're like, why do you want to earn it? You really don't. Maybe it's an ego-based goal. Maybe it's just something that you want to prove something, and it's not really in your heart of hearts. I find it a lot easier to manifest if you can integrate your head and your heart. So intellectually you want it, and from more of a heart level, from more of a feeling level, you want it. I find that ideal. Now, sometimes you have to move the timeline out, and sometimes you're not even going to put a timeline on it. Initially, I wanted to just be a millionaire. And I didn't even really understand the difference between making a million and accumulating a million. So just so you're clear, accumulating a million takes about 3 to 4 to 5 million, depending on what your profit margin is. So I think that's kind of funny because I didn't even know the difference of that. And then I'm like, oh, I want to be a centimillionaire, which is 100 million. I want to earn that. And I went to one of my first centimillionaire clients and I was so excited to share with him, I want to earn $100 million. And he said, Annette, that is the dumbest goal I've ever heard. And I was so embarrassed. I was in my 20s and I was already didn't have the confidence. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is so embarrassing. And I go, oh my gosh. And he said, you don't want to earn it. You want to accumulate it. He said, such a difference. He said, the people that are earning money never, ever get to where they want to go. The people who accumulate wealth are the ones that the people that are earning money work for. Oh my God, that was a game changer. It changed everything. But the other thing that changed is I started working with centimillionaires. Now, it's kind of scary to think back, me being my 20s and 30s working with people worth 100 million, but I was. And what I realized is the fact that there were a lot of choices some of them made that just were not things that aligned up with me. And I'll give you an example. A lot of them had health issues, like serious health issues. Some of them had relationship issues. And I just looked at it and I thought, I want to have money, but I want to have a great life. So that got me on saying, okay, maybe the goal is not to be a centimillionaire. Maybe it's to be a multimillionaire. And so my goal became to be a decamillionaire, which is a $10 million net worth. What I will say is that when I really got clear, because initially my goal was probably a little bit more ego-based of just saying, oh, if I could do it. But I think in the process, I became a different person. There was somewhere in the tune of maybe 5 to 7 million where I realized I was suffering from the disease of more. I was suffering from thinking, okay, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be satisfied. I'm going to be content when I have that next million. And I realized nothing's going to change until I work on my inner game, until I really work on myself. And that was the change. I got so clear. And what I realized is that when you have money, you have choices, you have freedom, and you can do more to support other people. You can do more to do good in this world. And so it all kind of came together. So again, you've got to decide what it is for you. But maybe it's finding love. So you want to describe that perfect person. Now, one of the best affirmative statements is I'm open to a loving and supportive relationship. I met a woman who had met another woman who told her that affirmation. And she said she did it for years, like a decade. And then she found her ideal mate. And then mine had done it for years. And then she found her ideal mate. And then I did it for a few years. And then I found my ideal mate. We just celebrated our 27th wedding anniversary and 28 years together. So it does work. But you want to describe, what is that person like? For me, things that were really important, they had to be spiritual. They had to love kids. They had to be comfortable with my success. I wanted a partner. I didn't want somebody that, was telling me what to do or I was telling them what to do, even though we both do that. So, but really where we are both valued in the relationship and it's not kind of like, one up or one down. That was really important to me. And again, you got to decide what it is that you want. And then determining why. I wanted to share my life with somebody. I wanted to share the ups and the downs, the good, bad, the ugly with someone. And I made such a great decision in my husband. Who do you have to become to attract this person? Or who do you have to become to achieve your financial goals? Becoming a millionaire is very different than becoming a decamillionaire or even a centimillionaire. And you got to really get clear on who you have to become to be that person to achieve that goal. Maybe it's weighing your ideal weight. How much do you want to weigh? My goal was to just be healthy. I just wanted to be healthy. And I had this ideal weight in mind, but I thought, well, now that I'm older, I'm probably not going to achieve it. Well, guess what, my friend? Not only am I stronger than I've been literally my entire life, I am so strong. It's awesome. It feels so good to be strong. It feels sexy. It feels empowering, motivating. I just feel so good. I don't like weight training, but I love the impact of it. I like to do yoga. I like to do cardio, but weight training's never been my jam. But how much do you want to weigh? I knew what I wanted to weigh, and it was really what I weighed in my 20s. And it wasn't really, I don't really know why. It was weird because it was kind of like, it was just like in my head. Well, now I weigh my ideal weight. In fact, I'm actually 3 pounds less than my ideal weight, and I feel absolutely great. Part of that is also determining how much sleep you need. Sleep is critical to weighing your ideal weight, and then your eating plan. I eat pretty much 2 meals a day, but really being conscious that putting really good food in your body. As all my listeners should know, I am allergic to sugar, as many people are. So I don't eat sugar and I eat very low carbs and I feel great and I don't get hungry. It's amazing. All right. The next thing you got to do is you got to identify your feeling. How do you feel now that you've achieved your goal? We do things and want to achieve goals because of our belief of how it's going to make us feel. Let's say that you want to have $1 million in your retirement account because you want to feel secure. How do you feel when you feel secure? Like, what emotions are going on when you say, oh my gosh, I feel so secure? Do you feel calm? Do you feel stress-free? Maybe in the flow, peaceful, joyful? It's not a right or wrong. Just identify those emotions. Now, I also want you to remember these because when you visualize, the goal there is you want to embody those emotions when you're visualizing what you want. Now, this is critical. The reality of achieving your goal is not going to make you feel a certain way. It's your thinking and your belief around it. So if you're thinking that $1 million in the bank is going to make you feel secure, then it probably will. But what happens with a lot of people is they think that the act of accumulating that, having a $10 million net worth, having a $5 million net worth is going to solve the issue. It's not. What's going to solve the issue is how you're thinking about that. Some people that are thinking about having $500,000 accumulated, feel secure. Some people that have 250,000 feel secure. So I want you to get the fact it's not the actual reality or the result, it's how you're thinking about it. That's absolutely critical. And it's a choice you get to decide. So that's so important to understand. The next thing is to elevate your worth barometer. This is comprised of your self-worth and beliefs, and it also encompasses your identity. And that dictates what happens in your life more than anything else. If you see yourself as truly wealthy, you're going to show up as a wealthy person. You're going to do the things that wealthy people do. You're going to make choices that lead to wealth. If you see yourself as weighing your ideal weight, you make choices that allow you to weigh your ideal weight. You get up and work out when you don't feel like it. You get your 10,000 steps in. You go to weight training when you don't want to. You watch your diet, all those things. One thing to be aware of that I see sometimes happening, sometimes people will be making a lot of money, and therefore they have a belief that they can spend a lot of money. And that is true at that point in time. But what they're missing is the fact that if they're not saving enough money for retirement, their current actions are going to produce something very different in the future, a broke, struggling retirement. So if you want to be wealthy and spend too much money on things that make you look wealthy, but don't create wealth, you got a problem. I see some people that they're like, just always think there's going to be money there. And the reality of it is oftentimes there's not. So be careful with that. The next thing you got to do is commit. You got to do what it takes to do. Ask 100 people if they'd like to have $1 million in their bank account, and almost every hand's going to go up. There might be the one contrarian that's like, well, that's not right, whatever it is. But most are going to say yes. Ask them if they'll do what's required, and some are going to say yes, and some are going to say, well, that depends. And I've heard this over and over again. Then they say something about, well, it depends if it's legal. They're already setting themselves up for a defensive position on why they can't or won't do it. It is fascinating. No, I want you to do something really illegal. It's like, okay. Tell them they have to show up on Monday to start learning how to do the work. And, maybe half will show up. And then require them to take action. And then maybe about 10 or 20% will. Continue with the process, maybe 3% will. And that's why there are so few people who are financially free. It's not the fact that they can't do it. It's the fact that they don't or won't do it. You've got to commit. You've got to do the work. The next is you got to remove money blocks. In the Millionaire Insider Money course, which I'm in the process of creating, and I'm so excited about it, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/MC-waitlist or MC-WL to get on the wait list. We have an entire section on money blocks because it's so critical. If you have money blocks, and we all do, we all do, regardless of what level you're at, it's a problem. So the first step is you want to identify money blocks. Then you've got to release them, and then you've got to replace them. A great first step for you right now is to just simply start identifying the beliefs you have. For example, money is dirty, or money is the root of all evil, or rich people aren't honest. Mine growing up, which was shared so many times by my parents, well, they have money. Like, WTF? Like, I remember going, oh, they have money. Like, if you had money, you were bad. It's just so fascinating. Like, where do these things come up? Unbelievable. To this day, I'm like, it's such an interesting concept. Like, if you have money, you're bad. The process to release money blocks that aren't serving you can take some time. Start by just identifying ones that you notice and then replace them with beliefs that work for you is a great first step. For example, rich people aren't honest. Rich people are honest. I'm abundant. I'm worthy. I am enough. All the things that get in your way of achieving your goal. Now, a lot of times people will say your net worth is dictated by your self-worth. And I just want to say this much. I have not found that to be true. In fact, there are so many people who have money who have very low self-worth and self-esteem. And all you have to really do is kind of see how they're showing up, how they're treating people, all those things. What I find that is so critical when it comes to your self-worth is the fact that when you have healthy self-worth, you make decisions that are integrated more with your head and your heart. You can integrate them, what you're thinking with how you're feeling. And that is ideal for achieving any goal. The other thing is the fact that the key that I find when it comes to your self-worth as compared to your net worth is when your self-worth is high, you make better choices. So what I find with people who have a high net worth and low self-worth is the fact that those with the low self-worth don't make the decisions to have an amazing life. They don't invest the time in their relationships. So then they end up, on wife or husband number 4 or 5. They don't invest the time when it comes to their health. So they're on their 4th or 5th heart attack. What happens is you can have money and low self-worth, but it's very difficult, if not impossible, to have money and an amazing life if you don't have both. If you don't have high self-esteem and high worth, it's very difficult to have an amazing life once you do achieve your money goals. All right, the next thing is to affirm it. One of the most important affirmations is I earn blank in year with ease. So I earn $100,000 in the year with ease. I earn $1 million in the year with ease. I accumulate 1 million or 10 million by date with ease. Now, when I was visualizing and affirming my goal, I didn't have a date because I didn't think it was ever possible. And you can put, your partner's name and I. Now, even though I put my partner's name and I, my partner did not have any, he could have cared less. That's just not a motivating factor to him. So when I let him know we had achieved our net worth goal, I had to remind him, well, actually it was mine, but hey, it's a community property, so it's ours. But the point being is you want to ideally put with ease. Now, if you have a date, great. I just assumed I'd be about 100 when I achieved that. And then I encourage you there's a process that I teach called the Power of 7, that you want to write it out, you want to speak it, you want to listen to it, all of those things, because they integrate into your subconscious mind. And by integrating into your subconscious mind and your conscious mind, your head and your heart, that's where it becomes magical. All right, number 4, you got to take action. Let the fun begin. Once you know what you want, you've got to create a plan to make it a reality. And then you have to execute consistently, regardless of how you feel. You got to execute. The only difference between wealthy people is that they take the time to create the plan and then execute, regardless of how they feel. This is so important. I always find people like, oh, you're so lucky. No, actually, I just do things. Like if you knew that one of your children was going to die, or you knew that you weren't going to get any oxygen, you'd figure it out. But see, most people, when it comes to financial freedom, don't have that same commitment. Like I knew I would be a millionaire. I just knew I would because I was going to make it happen. And I wasn't going to do something illegal. I remember, one of my first managers said, the only women making financial services were sleeping with their clients. I'm glad to report that I've never had to do that. But it's just crazy the things we encounter on our career path. That said, you've got to understand that if I can do it, you can do it. If someone else has done it, you can do it. The problem is our society creates these people and make them look so amazing when in reality, it's just a matter of being clear on what you want, creating a plan to get it, and then executing. Now, there's a bonus. The bonus is you got to trust the process. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, like it or not. And you're where you are because of the choices you've made. If you want different choices, you simply have to change your decisions. You can change your circumstances simply by making different choices right now, right now, right now. And that should be the most hopeful thing you've learned from this whole episode. I find it helpful to trust in a higher power. Now, I don't know what your spiritual or religious beliefs are, but for me, I am very spiritual and I feel very connected to higher power. And I feel that when you have a faith or a belief in something of a higher power, you don't take all the burden on yourself. You trust the process. And however that looks for you, I encourage you to entertain it. It has made a world of difference in my life. And then have faith. I always love to say is, if not this, something better. I have said that my entire life, and even failed relationships where you're like, oh, this is the one. It's like, thank God I look back now, I'm like, thank God for unanswered prayers, one of my favorite songs. But you think, oh, your high school sweetheart, oh my gosh. And then you're like, oh my God, that would have ended in divorce. So you'd always have to be open to something better. When I was looking for our new home, our primary residence, I just wanted a view of a mountain. I wasn't thinking the universe or God was going to send me an entire mountain, an entire panoramic view of Phoenix. I had no idea. And so it's just amazing. You just got to be open to it. What can happen when we are open to it? All right, let's recap. How do you manifest what you want? Number one, you've got to create your baseline. You've got to decide with crystal clear clarity what you want. You've got to get clear on how it's going to feel. What emotion are you chasing? And then start feeling that emotion now before you even achieve it. It's going to make your journey so much easier. You've got to elevate your worth boundary, your belief and self-esteem. You've got to remove money blocks. So critical. And then you got to visualize it. You got to see it. I share. Tomorrow, we're leaving for our condo that overlooks the ocean. I literally visualized a condo. I didn't want a house. You don't ever want a house near the ocean because all you do is maintenance. I wanted to be on the top floor, but not too high where I couldn't see the ocean. I like to look straight out at it. I didn't want to be right on the ocean because it kind of freaks me out. I wanted to have ocean views from every window. I mean, it was just crazy. And when I walked into this place, I'm like, this is it. This was what I had been visualizing for 10 years. And my mountain home, I literally visualized that for 5 years. It is amazing what happens when you visualize. Amazing. And then affirming it. I am, or I act a verb. And then acting, taking the consistent action you need to take to achieve your desired results. And then trust you are where you're supposed to be. And that if not this, something greater. So there you have it.
If you love the content of this podcast, please follow and subscribe to our channel so you get notified of episodes, and also give us a 5-star review and share a comment. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on taking another step to create a financially free life you love. If you're not sure about your financial future or that it's in order, or you are ready to stop worrying about money, or possibly the fear of becoming a bag lady, ending up broke in retirement, or you simply are ready to know your financial house is in order so that you can have a bright financial future, please go to themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. And that doesn't stand for non-sufficient funds. It stands for next step finance. It's the next best step of what you need to do so you can avoid an NSF notice in your future. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. The number of women who were not broke or poor while working or married is staggering. The entire mission of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast is to ensure you have the information for you, your family, your friends, anyone who's willing to listen to it and apply it so that you can create a financially free life you love. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. Until our next episode, take one action that will help you create a financially free life you love. I'm Annette Baou, your host. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.